Hello friends, it's Miss Dom, and today I want to talk about using Sketchpad to create digital art. Sketchpad just updated, so I just got the new version. So when you get Sketchpad, if you had it before, you may have to grab it again, and I did provide a link to that on the slide. There are a few new features. If I just go through here, you can see there's some different sharing features. And if we go down here, you can create a link to your image. And so here you can layer groups. Now layering is something that's a little bit more advanced. I'm going to go ahead. I'm showing you the user guide simply because I think they do a better job of demonstrating these things than I probably can. So I'm just sharing with you what you can do. But again, you can do some pretty amazing things without using the layering tool, but they've updated it so that you can layer a whole section rather than each individual component. This is also sort of interesting. If you're using a gradient, you can be a little more precise in how you use that gradient, so you can edit how you have a gradient in there, and I thought that looked pretty interesting. And so that's something a little different in this newer version. Improvements to their text tool and moving the text around and so forth. So and there's the alignment. And again, just like you probably are pretty familiar with manipulating text, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here, but there's some interesting things you can outline. Okay, so you can see how you can manipulate not just images, but your text in different ways. Space out the words a little bit more. And I like sliding that font size to fix. Good stuff. All right, and it is compatible with your Google Drive. So let's look at the more basic parts. There are different tools. When it says brushes, it's not just a paintbrush, but there's lots of different tools that you can use besides a brush. So they have a pencil. There's the pen. So it looks a little different than the pencil. You think about a pen, how if you hold it, it starts to bleed a little. Paint, okay, and this is using the gradient, sort of rainbow, so you can use the gradient as you're painting or just one color. The tile brush gives kind of a texture as you're using it. The mirror brush is really interesting. So there you can sort of create some kaleidoscope effects. The arrow. So every time you stop your line, it becomes an arrow. Straight arrows. Sketchy. All right, gives it sort of an interesting texture. And of course, the eraser. Calligraphy, beautiful writing tool. Streamer. Crayon. Spray paint. Fur. Oops. Web. like a spider web. Spirograph. All right, and then there are stamps. They have over 1,000 stamps that you can use. So when you go down to stamp, and then you can select what stamp you want to use. And of course, you'll need to choose your color for your stamp, and the size, the scale, what direction it's going. So you have a lot of control over what you can do with these different stamps. And then go to town. All right, here we can do some geometric shapes using the line tool. All right, and here's some more geometry kinds of tools. Here you can create a tool and then fill it. We already looked at text, so I'm not going to worry about text because that was something we looked at in the beginning. Let's take a look at clip art. So of course you can just kind of put a pre-made image in there if you want it to. All right, so when you select something, you can then manipulate that particular image. You can use it to move, rotate, scale, layer. Cropping means you can sort of just take a section. And if you've ever used any photography apps, you've probably maybe done some cropping before. So you can crop it, make it a little bit smaller, take just a section. You can zoom in and out. So if you need to work on a detail, you can zoom in to work on that little detail, and then zoom back out again. The fill tool. There's two types, vector and pixel. Use the vector to fill a gradient or pattern to a layer, or even a section of clip art. And then for the pixel, let's see what happens here. Oh, look at that. Now, I did not even know you could do that. That's why I'm sharing with you this with you on the user guide, because I like to just play and discover, and I don't always discover everything. So here you can go back, so you can figure out if you kind of overdid something, which I sometimes tend to do. When you're making art on a piece of paper, it's difficult to erase and go back and take things away, but of course on the computer it's much easier. Just look at your history. All right, so if you're using layers, you can kind of overlay or overlap with things over and under. And then let's see what happens here. They're going to go ahead and do some different things there. All right, so you can take that layer out if you wanted to. And again, gives you a chance to edit, which is a little bit easier than if you were doing something on a piece of paper. So you can choose different layers if you wanted to. All right, and so that's a little bit more advanced. So you can import images. You can paint into layer is a setting that will, oh, I see. All right, so you can color inside the lines with paint into layer. And again, that's another tool that I have not used. So if you go to the user's guide, you can see there's, I didn't even get to everything. You can see how it can be used with Google Classroom. You can see how it can be used as far as sharing and sending your art. And it's just a really amazing program. So when you come over here to your tools, you can come over here. Now you see how I clicked on calligraphy. That doesn't mean I have to use calligraphy. I can change that to pen and then use the pen. Okay. If I come over here where it says star, I don't have to just use star. If I click that, I can choose a different shape. If I come over here, I don't have to use the cartoon cow. I could use that peacock. Okay, so when you're using this, when you look on your left-hand side there at these different tools, when you touch one, it will give you all the options. All right, so you have to touch it, and then you can make changes if you need to as you're using the program. And then once you start working, that will collapse back down. So just a reminder, as you're going here, okay, here's your sizes, your pen. You can go ahead and change that, make some different effects, choose your outline, choose your fill, and so forth, okay? So go ahead, and then here's paint into layer up at the top. That's off right now. If you want to paint inside of it, then you turn that on. So again, very versatile, lots of things you can do. I encourage you to do what I just did, which is sort of go through the user's guide and then just start playing around with it and seeing what you can do. And then once you get familiar with it, you can start creating your art and expressing yourself. But in the beginning, on the first day, just test it out, see what you can do, basically learn how to use it, kind of learn how to navigate it like driving a car. Before you go on a big road trip, you need to know how to drive the car. So the first thing I want you to do is just learn how to use this program, because there are just so many things you can do, and you just want to explore and practice. So enjoy practicing and exploring with Sketchpad. See you next time.